Hello everyone, welcome to episode 17 of Pokemon Crystal. Last part we got up to here, and now we're about to begin the final part of the main storyline. So, really quick, I'm showing off my team, what moves I have on them, showing that they're all up to level 50. I did some more level grinding off screen. And, well, just really showing you my final preparations were. I already showed you the items I bought last part. And you can see that some of them learned new moves, like, I know for a fact, Abe learned Reversal, which is a lot more useful than the counter he had on beforehand. But anyway, let's begin the Elite Four. We have to face 4 very powerful trainers in a row with no breaks in between, besides saving. This is a Pokemon tradition that's been around since the first game, and to be honest, it's gotten kind of old, but at the same time, it's gotten a lot easier over time to me. And this is by far the easiest Elite Four in the series, considering their Pokemon are actually rather weak. But anyway, the first one is Will, the Psychic type Pokemon user, who is only in this game. Because this is the exact same Indigo Plateau as the original Pokemon, Red, Blue. I do have to wonder what happened to the other 3? Well, 2 of the other 3? Anyway, first off he sends out a Johto. Now, Will is probably the easiest Elite Four member in the series. Well, except for the guy who's up next, but that's just because of the starter I chose. If you have someone who's good against flying or psychic types, like, if I remember correctly, my Pat or Fallon would be a good choice for me if I remember correctly. I don't have the type weakness chart fully memorized yet. Or you could just be like me and utterly decide to destroy them all with Blaze. And so whenever I hear that sound effect alone, that I'm glad that they changed this special stat in Gen 2. Because Psychic types were the hardest type to beat in the original Gen because their special stat was ridiculous. I think I explained this before, but in this game there are 2 stats for special attack and defense. That special defense protects you from special attack and such. But in the original Generation 1, there was no special attack and defense, there was just overall special attack. Well, special stat, I mean. Which was both combined. And because of that, for some reason, Psychic types became extremely overpowered. To the point where the hardest battle in the game for most people is the Sabrina Sabrina gym battle. But let's not get into that until we get to it. And a majority of this guy's Pokemon are Johtos, actually. And the only thing that sprite is missing, by the way, for Johto is a trench coat and a top hat, and you got a gentleman there. And these are actually also the first trainers, as far as I know, that will use items as well in battle. Most trainers don't use items in battle until you get to about this point in the game. Only the Elite Four, the Champion, and a certain other guy we'll be meeting later on actually use items at all, really. Now, what he used right there was a Max Potion, which completely restores Pokemon's HP. That's not that threatening. But the thing you have to really fear is when they use a full restore, which is... Oh, and hi, Jinx. This is a really weird Pokemon. It's Ice Psychic, and it's not that good. But I do remember, if I remember correctly, an episode of the anime where Jinx was in was delayed to the extent where Ash's Charmander that he got was a Charizard, and when they aired the Jinx episode, if I remember correctly this is, I haven't watched the anime in years. If I remember correctly, they aired it to the point after the Charmander was a Charizard, but when they aired it, it was a Charmander again, which probably confused some fans. Yeah, so that's really it with Will. Make sure you have a good attack, someone with good special defense to protect you against their ridiculous special attack, and you should be pretty good. Or if you're just over-leveled like I am. And 1 Elite Four member down, 3 to go. And this is a new member, like Will, this is a new member of the Elite Four. Well, he's not a new character overall. Bringing out Blaze because this guy's a poison type user. But anyway, this is Koga. Koga is actually not new to the series at this point. He was actually the poison type gym leader in the original Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. Well, Red, Green, Blue, and Yellow technically. And he would later return in Fire Red, Leaf, Green. But if you have a fire type like I do, which is why Blaze is fantastic, especially for the Elite Four, you can probably one-shot his entire team with one-shot every single member of his team. And this is actually, if I remember correctly, the Elite Four is really good for grinding money. If you could just fast forward and fight them all really quick. Actually, I might do that at some point. Oh, I love Flame Wheel, it's so good. Oh hi, Muck. I remember Ash having one of you in the anime. Now, remember at one point earlier in the series, I brought up that Ekans and Cobra and Arbok were Snake and Cobra spelled backwards, respectively. What's Muck spelled backwards? I know, right? If you guys probably haven't heard that meme before, you're probably laughing out. You're probably on the floor laughing. But seriously, though, why did they not notice that? Translators! Then again, some of you guys might be even too young to know what I'm talking about. Then again, I know a majority of the people who watch our channel at this point are around our age, so... And my controller was dying a lot during this part, so if you see me take random pauses, that's why. Actually, Crobat here is actually a new Pokemon of this generation. He was not in the Generation 1, which makes me wonder... Actually, considering he's a gym leader, he probably did fight with his... did he actually have a Golbat in Generation 1? I don't remember. Because Crobat only evolves from Golbat when its happiness is maxed, if I remember correctly. But, then again, I rarely ever play Generation 1 because it's kind of bland compared to 2 and onwards. Then again, I never beat Gen 3 either. And he's sending out Venomoth, which is actually a Pokemon I know is evolved from one he had in his originals, both in the anime and in the original games. He's evolved from his Venonat. Or, actually, did he have a Venomoth in the original game? I don't remember. I'm gonna need to play through Yellow at some point. Maybe I should record that. Yeah, as you can see, the Elite Four is pretty dang good for experience. And on to the third Elite Four member, who's the only one who's actually returning from the original Elite Four cast. And this man of muscle with lava is Bruno, the only returning member of the Elite Four. And I think he's in the exact same... No, he's not. He was the second member of the Elite Four in the original game. He wasn't the third. Took me a moment there to remember what was the order of the Elite Four in Gen 1. Bruno here specializes in fighting types, so if you have a flying type like I do with Fallon, this should be fairly easy because, well, fighting types are weak against flying type for some reason. But then again, I have heard due to one of my friends, I have heard one really convincing explanation for that. Have you ever tried to punch a bird? Doesn't work out well. And his Hitmontop, for some reason, knows the move Dig, which is very odd choice for a fighting-type Pokemon. Because that just makes him a bit more weak to flying types, because ground doesn't affect them. And now he actually sends out one of the Pokemon that's based off a real person. This is Hitmonchan. If you can't figure out what it's based off, it's based off, well, Jackie Chan. Yeah, that was a rather bland name choice for the Nintendo of America translators to make. But from what I remember, some of the names they've made as of recent are a lot closer to their original names. Oh, Machamp. Machamp is actually one of the only Pokemon in Generation 1 that you actually had to trade to evolve. Because you get him from a Machamp... let's see, Machamp. You get him from a Machoke if you trade it. Kind of like with Kadabra to Alakazam, Hunter to Gengar, and I think one other that I can't remember right now. Yeah, the Elite Four in this game are rather easy, and of course he barely hangs on and takes away what is, I think if I remember correctly, the only KO we actually have in this Elite Four. Which I was surprised, the Elite Four usually take down at least 2 in 2 rounds. Then again, I've played this game for years, so I'm probably just used to everything by now. Now, aside from maybe 2 other times in the Elite Four, Matt's getting some show time. He'll only really be shown once in the next fight, if I remember correctly, and then throughout the entire champion of Johto. And my controller was dying a lot here, I guess. And he sends out the second Pokemon that's actually named after a real person, Hitmonlee, which is based off, if I remember correctly, Bruce Lee? I don't really know, there's too many Lees. No, actually, for some reason, the Elite Four don't get their own battle theme in this series. Well, at least not until about Gen 3, I think, is when they get their own battle theme. Because Gen 1 and 2, they only use the boss battle theme, which seems appropriate, but at the same time kind of lazy. Then again, you're talking to a guy who has heard the boss battle theme, so much of Gen 1 and 2 that he's actually kind of sick of it. And now it's time for the fourth member of the Elite Four, Karen, if I remember correctly. She specializes in Dark types, which is the new type to the game. New type to the series at this point, actually. Now, if you have a Ghost type in your team, do not bring him or her out during this battle. Dark is super effective against Ghost, and it will destroy him. First off, she sends out one of the two new evolutions of Eevee, Umbreon. Really, if you just use Flame Wheel or Thunder Punch like I have on Blaze, you should be pretty good throughout this fight. Because I'll be honest, this is pathetically easy. Now, actually, off-screen I found the Earthquake TM in Victory Road, which I highly recommend you get if you have a ground type, because it is destruction in a bottle. Because it is really good against most Pokemon, considering its power stat, if I remember correctly, is really high. I think it's a little bit more ridiculous in Gen 1, but then again, Gen 1's pretty broken as it is. To be honest, in terms of gameplay mechanics, the series hasn't been that balanced since Gen 2, really. Gen 2 and until Gen 5, let me restart that sentence. Until Generation 5, Generation 2 was the most balanced games in the series, meaning Gold, Silver, Crystal. Black and White, and from what I've heard, Black and White 2 are really balanced since then. Then again, I found Gen 4 pretty good on that sometimes, but for some reason people seem to hate Gen 4. And she sends out a Gengar, which luckily is nowhere near as bad as it was with Morty. In fact, I don't even think it knows Dream Eater or Hypnosis. It took me a minute to decide who to send out, then I just decided, you know what, F it, bring out Blaze. I sent out Camp? Oh no, I pressed B. That's right, I had me going for a second there. And luckily, I have Thunder Punch on Blaze, which is rather effective against Ghost types, for some reason. And he uses Spite, which lowers the PP of the move I had just used, which kind of sucks, because Thunder Punch is actually going to be kind of useful in the boss battle right after this. Murkrow, if you have an electric type move, is pathetic because it's a dark flying, and flying is weak against electricity. Which still makes no sense. Some of these type weaknesses in the Pokemon series never made any sense to me. But then again, that may just be me thinking too logically. And for the until the next fight, Matt gets his next appearance in the Elite Four against a Houndoom. Man, these things get annoying in Gen 3 and onwards, and in the Pokemon Ranger series. God damn it, I hated that damn Houndoom and Guardian Signs. Luckily, since it's a Fire Dark type, Surf takes care of it pretty much in one shot. And the Elite Four is done and over with. Thank God. And with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. And next time on Let's Play Pokemon Crystal, we're gonna go and fight the champion of Johto, which is going to be fairly easy, actually. Not as hard as a fight later on. It can be difficult if it's your first playing time, but other than that, since I'm experienced, it's easy. What I would recommend having ready for the next fight is someone with Ice-type moves, a controller that doesn't constantly die on you, someone with electric move, and maybe a tank just for when you need to heal your other Pokemon. I wonder who is the champion, you may ask? Well, you're gonna have to find out next part. And since Matt's gonna be getting quite a bit of use in the next upcoming battle, I'm healing him up really quick. Thank you. See you guys next time when we finish Johto.